I'm Michael Pearl. I'm coming to you from the door. You can find us at No Greater Joy Ministries. I have some questions here that the audience sent in, and so I'm going to read it and then give you an answer from the Bible. I've been hearing from several people that there'll be animal sacrifices in the millennial kingdom. Basically, a reestablishment of the law, they are saying. I don't know that much about it. Could someone expound? Seems to contradict the gospel. All right, that's a very good question, and there's quite a bit of scripture covering that subject. Yes, there will be animal sacrifices by the nation of Israel in Jerusalem during the 1,000-year reign of Christ upon the earth. The church, the glorified Christians and glorified bodies will be on the earth, and we will not be participating in those sacrifices nor in the worship that occurs there in Jerusalem. But it will be a continuation of the nation of Israel from the time of the Old Testament prophets on up into eternity. Listen to this, Zechariah chapter 14, verse 16 through 18. And it shall come to pass that everyone that is left, this is after the tribulation, of all the nations which came against Jerusalem, shall even go up from year to year to worship the King, the Lord of hosts, and keep the Feast of Tabernacles. That's never happened before, that all nations have gone to Jerusalem and to the temple and kept the Feast of Tabernacles. And it shall be that whosoever will not come up of all the families of the earth unto Jerusalem to worship the King, the Lord of hosts, even upon them shall be no rain. So God will be very active, Jesus on the throne, punishing the nations that won't participate, won't come and visit once a year with withholding rain. If the family of Egypt go not up and come not, they have no rain. There shall be the plague wherewith the Lord will smite all the heathen that come not up to keep the Feast of Tabernacles. Now it says heathen, because during the millennial reign of Christ upon the earth, those who survive the tribulation in natural physical bodies will have children. And we're told very plainly that there will be sinners on the earth during the millennial reign of Christ. And some of those sinners will reject the truth of the gospel, reject Jesus Christ, even in his bodily presence. And at 100 years of age, they will be executed if they're not repentant. So those who refuse to participate. Now, that's just getting a start. All we've established there is that the nation of Israel will be reestablished during the 1,000-year reign of Christ and will be engaged in keeping their feast days. Then in Jeremiah 33, 15 through 21, and in those days at that time will I cause the branch of righteousness to grow up unto David, and he shall execute judgment and righteousness in the land. In those days shall Judah be saved, and Jerusalem shall dwell safely. And this is the name wherewith they shall be called, the Lord our righteousness. For thus saith the Lord. Now here's a prophecy by Zechariah toward the end of your Old Testament. David shall never want a man to sit upon the throne of the house of Israel. Neither shall the priest and Levites want a man before me to offer burnt offerings and to kindle meat offerings and to do sacrifice continually. So here's a clear prophecy that after the tribulation, during the millennial reign, and into the future, that there will never be a time when there'll be a lack of David's seed to reign on the throne, and never be a time when the Levites and their descendants will fail to offer burnt offerings and meat offerings and do sacrifices. And he says it will be continually. So the answer to your question, will there be sacrifices? Clearly, according to an abundance of scripture, this just being two of them. Now, he continues in that text there in Jeremiah 33 in verse 19, not skipping anything. The word of the Lord came unto Jeremiah, saying, Thus saith the Lord, if you can break my covenant of the day and my covenant of the night, that there should not be day and night in their season. See, God made a covenant that as long as the earth stood, there'd be day and night. He said, if you can break that covenant, if you can violate my promise, there'd be day and night. Then may also my covenant be broken with David my servant, that he should not have a son to reign upon the throne, and with the Levites, the priests, my ministers. So God says, as sure as my covenant of day and night, so is my covenant that there will be priests to offer sacrifices continually. Now, Revelation 11, which is written about 100 AD, 95 to 100 AD, well after the establishment of the church, a prophecy of the future, Revelation 11, and there was given me a reed like unto a rod, and the angel stood and saying, Rise, measure the temple of God and the altar, and they that worship therein. This is during the tribulation. But the court which is without the temple, leave out, measure it not, for it is given unto the Gentiles. This is recognition of the fact that the court beyond the perimeter of the temple will be used by Gentiles, which no doubt is the Mosque of Omar, the Dome of the Rock. So the temple will be rebuilt on the same mount, but it won't have its full parameters, because it will still have the Arab Dome of the Rock there. The court which is without the temple, leave out, measure it not, for it is given unto the Gentiles, and the holy city shall they tread underfoot 42 months. That's 3.5 years during the tribulation. You can also look in Ezekiel chapter 40 through chapter 46. It describes the millennial temple. And if you want to look at someone other than Mike Pearl on this, Dwight Pentecost has a scholarly work on it in a book called Thy Kingdom Come, where he espouses the same thing that I've just told you. All right, this has been Michael Pearl from The Door. Thank you for viewing.